Hello, hello. Oh, we're so back. Alright, hold on. Welcome back to 827, episode 4, The Phoenix. So first of all, I don't even know where to start. I started this podcast because I understand when you're coming of age, well, I started this when I was 19, life just takes a whole turn. Like, you start realizing that you're not a kid anymore. You're still young, but you're growing up and you're finding yourself, you're losing yourself, you're finding yourself, you're losing yourself all the time. So that's why I started it, because I felt like some of the stuff I was learning on my journey to adulthood could be useful and just relatable to anyone else out there, and we didn't have to go through that alone. But the same reason why I started is the same reason why I've been MIA, is because that journey is not easy and it is hard. And what I do is I isolate, and I get overwhelmed easily sometimes. So it makes it harder to be consistent on my creative aspects, like my podcast. So that's really why I've been gone for so long. Like, the lessons haven't stopped. If anything, they've gotten stronger. And because of that, I've gotten wiser, which is a blessing. But, it came at a cost. But something I want to talk about today is not knowing what you want to do. As simple as that. I was talking to my best friend earlier, and my therapist. So I was telling my best friend about the conversation I had with my therapist. Is growing up as someone who's always known what they were doing. Like, I was the type of person growing up that, like, from high school to early college years, I would speak to older people and they'd be like, oh my God, like, you're just so, like, you have your head put on straight, you know what you're doing, you have a straight goal for yourself, like, that's really good. And I'm gonna say, like, as a retired people pleaser, because I am retiring from that, because really fuck what everyone else thinks, but that felt good. I liked how that made me feel. Like, I liked that approval, so I've always strived to be like that. Granted, I naturally do always have my head on straight. I do feel like I'm very intelligent and I'm very wise, especially for my age, by the grace of God, like, thank you. But it was the always knowing what I wanted to do. Like, when I was in high school, I said, I want to go to college, I want to become a doctor, I want to go to medical school, I want to do this and that. And it was like that for a few years until I really got into college. I'm like, oh, hell no. I do not want to be a doctor. What? So, and then, there started becoming bumps in the road of my life journey towards my goals and stuff. Like, we all have goals, but sometimes you go through things that make you realize that you don't want that goal anymore. Normal stuff. It's nothing to be ashamed about. But for me, I was always the one that knew what I wanted to do. So as I grew up and I started getting into my 20s, I'm 21 now, I started to realize the stuff I once wanted to do, I don't want to do it anymore. And now it's like I'm rewriting my life plans, and I'm in this season where I don't know what I want to do. Granted, I still have goals, but the certain major goals I had, they don't align with me anymore. So now it's like I'm trying to figure out my next steps. And as someone who's always been the person that knew what they were doing, I feel ashamed, kind of, because I don't know what I'm doing. And I know it's nothing to be ashamed about. But like I said before, when you're so used to that approval and like that round of applause that you get from always knowing what you want to do, when you are the opposite, it becomes a little nerve-wracking, because it's like, oh, now people won't be like, what the fuck? Like, what you mean you don't know what to do? Like, for example, my parents are like, what happened? What went wrong? And it's like, nothing went wrong. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm just a girl in my 20s trying to figure it out. And I feel like I'm not the only one that's feeling like this or that's felt like this. Like, it's new. It's a new feeling. And one thing I always try and remind myself is you can't shame yourself into growth. I really thought like you could be like, girl, what are you doing? Like, nah, you gotta just sit with that emotion and see where it came from. Why are you feeling like this? What does it mean? And you move on. I feel like that's the season I'm in right now. I feel like we're forever finding ourselves. I don't like saying that, oh, I'm in the season of finding myself. You're forever finding yourself. But this one is finding my next steps, what I want to do in life, what career I want to be in. If you know me, you know I've been medical field since freaking middle school, damn near. And that's still something I want to be a part of, but I want to explore. Like, I want to see, because I don't know if that's something I want to be a part of still, because I've been in it for so long, so I feel obligated to be a part of it, or it's something I generally want to be a part of. Because I say, oh, I'm in the medical field because I love helping people. I love helping people, but I don't only help people in the medical field. Like, so that's something that like I can't really say goes 2 and 2 together no more. Like, I could help people anywhere. I want to explore. I want to see like what's out there. I want to try new things to see what I like and I don't like. And I want to do that without feeling shameful, without feeling like I have to live up to someone else's standards. For example, my parents. I always talk about my parents, because if you know, I got Nigerian parents. Not easy to impress. And to be honest, I feel like you shouldn't even be impressing your parents. Not to say you shouldn't make them proud, but it's just pressure. It's always a lot of pressure. And I don't want no one to hear this and think like, oh, don't have no goals, don't have no job, don't have no degree. Like, you should just be living and they should just be proud of you. No, I don't think that. I'm very much an advocate for get that degree and get that job, start that business, because you got to make something of yourself. But what I'm not going to do is shame someone for not knowing yet. That's the key word, yet. Because I had to look within to realize why I was doing that. Like, because when I did know what I was doing, I feel like I was low-key judging people who didn't have a plan for themselves, because I'm like, what are you doing with yourself? And that's why they always say, like, first of all, don't judge, because easily you can find yourself in that position of the person you were judging, and it is not right. You are not God. So, but also I was 17, so I was like, the ego of a 17-year-old, a beautiful thing, but also, girl, shut up, you don't know shit. But yeah, so I was like, why am I judging? Like, why did I judge them? And this is me trying to answer the question for myself. Why did I judge them? So I judged them because it's like, you have no plan for yourself, you don't have no goals for yourself. Like, that's what I would ask myself when people would tell me they had no plans. Now that I'm the person that has kind of no plan no more, well, no, I have a plan, but the kind of the person that's trying to figure out the plan, it's not that I don't have no goals for myself. It's not that I don't want better for myself. I'm just simply trying to figure it out, because we all have somewhere we want to reach. For example, I want stability, financial freedom, like a lot of us do. But it's like there's so many ways to get that, especially in this day and age. So the question is not, oh, am I gonna get it? It's how am I gonna get that? And that's what I'm trying to figure out in a way that's morally correct, because I could easily do that by stealing and scamming. I'm not gonna do that. Obviously there's different ways to go about it. I can start my own business. I don't want to do that. Like, there's certain things I just don't, I don't want to do. I don't have to do. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So to anyone out there, if you're on this journey, shit, I'm trying to find advice to give you, because I need some advice sometimes. But really what I'm doing is I wake up every day. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that God has woken me up, because I do believe every day God wakes you up, you have a purpose to fulfill. Even though sometimes you don't feel like it, or you don't know what you're fulfilling, trust me, you didn't get woken up for no reason. But taking care of yourself, making sure your mental is okay, get in therapy, talk to your friends, take care of yourself, exercise, eat right, love on yourself, like really focus on yourself, be around good people, be good to people, also be good to yourself. It's just, words can't describe how important it is to be selfish, especially at this time, because this is the time where we'll have the most time to ourselves. If you really think about it, when we get older, we're gonna have kids, we're gonna have spouses, we're gonna have jobs that take up, well, some of us, but we're gonna have jobs that take up majority of our time. Sometimes we're gonna have responsibilities, we're gonna have life, more school for some people. So it's like in your 20s, kind of have the most time. But also, I'm saying it from a different perspective, because I'm no longer in school. Like, I haven't recorded an episode in so long. The last time I recorded an episode was in my dorm, and I am not even a college student anymore. I'm going back, so it's not like I'm done forever, but damn, that's crazy. Best advice I could say is just do new things, try new things. Those things that you're scared of doing, do it. Don't ever feel like you're not qualified enough for something, unless it's like, don't be signing up on Indeed for the doctor roles if you know you don't even have a bachelor's. Like, that's not what I mean. But if it's something you want to try and you feel like you could do it, do it. Don't wait for someone to say, yeah, you could do it. Do it. Take that shit. It's yours. You have to have a lot of audacity, I'm realizing, in this world, to get the opportunities that you only dream of. So if you haven't noticed already, I named this episode The Phoenix for the particular reason. As you could tell, I've been talking about basically being a new person, figuring out a new path, leaving what I thought I wanted in the past behind me and figuring out what I want for my future. So that's why I named it The Phoenix. It's actually really funny because I just got a tattoo of a phoenix on my left side. Like most of my tattoos, they do have a pretty deep meaning, and I will explain on this one. Granted, a lot of people probably already know what the meaning, well, the symbolism of a phoenix risen from the ashes. That's why I got it, because the ashes being who I was, what I used to go for, who I used to be, how I used to think, how I used to act, and a rebirth. I'm rising as a better person. I'm acting better. I'm thinking better. I'm just a brand new person, a brand new individual, a brand new mind. Taking pride in that and not shame, and that it's okay to be different from your past. You actually want to be different. You don't ever want to stay the same. Part of that is being in the middle. And the middle is always the longest, because you don't know when you're gonna get to where you're supposed to be. But you have to fall in love with the process. And I never understood when people said fall in love with the process, if I'm being 100% honest, until I was in it. And I'm like, oh yeah, if you don't fall in love with the process, you're just gonna be miserable. You're just gonna keep wondering, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna be my time? When is this gonna happen? You're going to stress yourself out. But you have to fall in love with being a student in this game we call life, really. That's the only way you're not gonna lose your mind or drive yourself crazy. Also, because life honestly throws so much out at you. Like, I'm only 21, but I swear it feels like I've already lived 3 lives. Like, I catch myself now when I talk to people, I'm like, you know, when people be like, oh, back in my day, like, I don't say that, but I literally say, like, in my other life, because, and I'm talking about maybe 3-4 years ago, because that's how much life changes you, and it's for the better most of the time, but that's how much life changes you, that it will literally feel like you've lived multiple lives in one. And I really do feel like we do live multiple lives in one. It's not just one life. You know, people call it phases, a different stage. Yes, I call it a different life. It feels like a whole different life. So that's why I feel like the phoenix is always something that interests me, because although it is a mythical animal, it's just the symbolism behind it, because it's a rebirth. Like, we're constantly reborn. You go through different phases and stages in life, and you learn so much, and then you apply it, and then that brings you into another phase of life. And I feel like that's what's happening right now. And I feel like for your 20s, I say I feel like a lot, but in your 20s, that's what's happening every day. And it's, it's draining, but it's also, sometimes it really is exciting, for me at least, because you never know what's gonna happen. Like, that meme of that little boy on the bus, and then there's another little boy on the other side of the bus, and one is looking out all happy, the other one is looking out all sad. That's how I feel like it sounds, but that's how I feel like it looks. Like, oh, you never know what's gonna happen. Oh my god, you never know what's gonna happen. Like, I like to look at it in an exciting way because there's fun of it. But like everyone else, I get my days where I'm like, yo, what are we doing? What are we doing? So that's why when people be like, oh, you've changed, if someone says that to you, don't take it personal. First of all, you shouldn't be taking anything personal, because I personally feel like a lot of things be projections, so don't take too many things personal. But when people say, oh, you're changing, say thank you, unless it's for the worst. Like, be accountable. If you're turning into a terrible person, then like, no. But if you've just set up some new boundaries, or you realized you're not comfortable with how someone is treating you, or you're not comfortable how you've been treating yourself, and then someone realizes that, good job, because that means the work you've been putting in to change yourself is showing up. And you should be proud of yourself, because one, it's not easy. It's easier to stay in what you already know. It's easier to continue living the life you already been living. But when you wake up and you realize that, hey, I don't want to do this no more, this is not serving me, I'm not being intentional about how I live my life, and you change that, you should really be proud of yourself. Hello. All right. The background might sound a little different because I came back in while I was editing just to say some thoughts that popped up as I was re-listening to my episode. I say all these things to say that it's easier to stay in the game than play catch up. That's what I tell myself, and that's also what I believe. And when I say that, I mean, like, I'd rather not rush into something just for the sake of having it all together. So I'm going to take my time and figure out what I want. And if that means sometime I may have to be a little confused, or slow down my pace, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Y'all know Nipsey's my fave. He's not my fave for no reason. But I'll be okay with that, because I know that won't last forever, and I know there's lessons in that time frame that I'm waiting, in that season. You know how like God puts us in isolation periods because we need to only hear him? That's what I'm talking about. So never feel bad. Never feel shame. Never feel guilt. Never feel like you're messing up, because it's all part of the story. Trust and believe. God bless.